Hello, this is my Stamina Hybrid Sorcerer non-CP PvP build updated for the High Isle patch. This build takes full advantage of the hybrid meta. It has the best of both worlds. It has that high energy, high speed, hyper aggressive playstyle of StamSorc, and it also has that big powerful burst combo that MagSorcs are known for. It's an extremely fun build. I hope you enjoy it. For the race, I'm an Orc, mainly for the Swift Warrior passive, but really all of their passives are pretty good. I'm using the Serpent Mundus Stone for extra stamina recovery. For the food, I'm using Bewitched Sugar Skulls, and for the potions, I'm using standard Tri-Stat potions. Here's a look at the stats. I'll also put a UESP link in the description, so if you want to take a closer look, you can do that there. I'm putting all points into stamina, which puts my max stamina at 31,000. Max health is 29,000 and max magicka is 19,000. I have 2,300 stamina recovery, 1,500 magicka recovery, 1,300 health recovery. Weapon damage is right at 7,000 and my crit rate is 44%. For the sets, I'm using Briarheart as a front bar only set, Wretched Vitality as a back bar only set, 3 pieces agility on the jewelry, and the Gaze of Sithis mythic helm. 3 light, 3 medium, 1 heavy. The traits are 4 divines, 3 well fitted, and on the jewelry it's all infused with weapon damage glyphs on all 3 pieces. For the weapons, I'm using dual wield on the front bar with a Nirnhoned sword in the main hand and a precise dagger in the offhand, and on the back bar I'm using an infused bow with a weapon damage glyph. So let's go over the skill bars. On the front bar, I'm using Rapid Strikes for my main spammable, Endless Fury and Whirling Blades, 2 execute abilities. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Camo Hunter for the extra passive damage plus the anti-stealth. Streak, obviously, because streak. And for my front bar ultimate, I'm using the Charged Atronach, mainly because that activates the Daedric Protection passive for an extra 20% health and stamina recovery. That's pretty huge. Plus the ultimate itself is very, very good. On the back bar, I'm using Dark Deal as my primary sustain tool, plus it gives me a burst heal. Haunting Curse is my delayed burst attack. It also activates that Daedric Protection passive on the back bar, so I have that extra 20% health and stamina recovery on the back bar as well as the front bar. Hurricane is my major armor buff, plus it gives me minor expedition. Critical Surge is my major damage buff, and it also heals me whenever I crit. Resolving Vigor is my main healing ability, and I'm using the Reviving Barrier ultimate as my defensive ult, plus a little bit of group support. So that's basically the build. Let's back up and talk a little bit more about the gear. So Briarheart is an overland set. You can farm it in Hrothgar, or you can just buy it from guild traders. It's not too expensive, except the weapons can be kind of expensive. It's a solid damage set. It gives us a good amount of weapon damage. It's an easy proc condition, a good uptime. It gives us a tiny heal whenever we crit, and it's not a very big heal, but there is no cooldown on that heal. And if you think about, we have Hurricane, Whirling Blades, Endless Fury, Haunting Curse. Those are all AoE abilities, so they can all be critting on multiple enemies at a time. So potentially, say you crit 4 times in one single instant, then you'll get 4 times that heal in that instant. And stacked on top of Critical Surge, which is also healing us whenever we crit, it's a nice little layer of offensive healing that allows us to stay aggressive, stay offensive, and stay in the fight for longer periods of time. It's also really nice because it's a front barable set. You can proc it on the front bar, and then whenever you bar swap, that 5-piece will stay active. Wretched Vitality is a crafted set, and this really is the magic ingredient for making this build work. It's a sustain set. It gives us enough stamina recovery to rival pretty much any other sustain set you might put it up against, say like Bone Pirate. It's comparable to Bone Pirate. Plus it gives us an equal amount of magicka recovery. So this really is the key that allows us to use a lot of magicka and stamina abilities while still being able to invest in enough damage for those abilities to be potent and do lots of damage. It has a very easy proc condition. Whenever you apply a major buff or debuff, you get a recovery buff. And whenever you apply a minor buff or debuff, you get a smaller recovery buff. And both can be active at the same time, and Hurricane, your armor buff, procs both of those, right? Hurricane gives you your major armor buff, so there's the major component, and it gives you a minor expedition. So there's the minor component. So you cast Hurricane on your back bar, this set activates and you're good to go. And just like Briarheart, it's single barrable. You proc this on the back bar, and then when you swap back to the front bar, that 5-piece bonus stays active. Gaze of Sithis is one of my favorite mythic items. It's perfect for builds like this that rely primarily on mobility and movement for defense. It gives us some really good stats, some extra survivability, and it does take away our ability to block, but that doesn't really matter on this kind of build because we're not really blocking anyway. We're fully speed capped, we're using well-fitted armor traits, we're using a lot of movement, line of sight, we're dodging a lot. We really shouldn't be stopping and holding the block button anyway. So really, it doesn't really feel like we're suffering any penalty at all. We're just getting those extra stats, that extra survivability, and we already aren't blocking on a StamSorc anyway, so it works out really well. And agility on the jewelry, this is a very common set. You can just buy it from guild traders, or you can farm it from the Undaunted daily rewards, but really you should just buy it from guild traders. It's very cheap. And I'm just using this to fill in those extra 3 slots that are left there. It gives me a little bit of extra damage, which is more useful than anything else I really could use here. Like Trainee would be another option, which gives us a lot of extra max stats, but the max stats are already in a very, very good place. On this build, I'd rather just have some extra damage, and so I think agility is probably the best option for that. For the main offensive combo, you want to start on the back bar and do a light attack weave into Haunting Curse. And that light attack weave is important. That's one of the reasons we have Haunting Curse on the back bar, so that we can do a light attack weave with our bow, activate that infused weapon damage glyph. That's 452 extra weapon damage that we definitely want to be active as part of this combo. So make sure you land that light attack weave into a Haunting Curse and then swap to your front bar and tag the enemy with Endless Fury. If your ultimate is ready, cast the Atronach to stun them, or if it's not ready, just use Streak to stun them. Then lay into them with Rapid Strikes until Haunting Curse pops, which will put them down into Execute range, which will cause Endless Fury to pop. And then you want to cast your Whirling Blades at that same time and hit them with both of those Execute abilities simultaneously. A lot of the times Endless Fury will kill them on its own and you won't even actually hit them with Whirling Blades. But there are a lot of people that will survive Endless Fury, and so if you're coming at them with Whirling Blades at that same time, hitting them with 2 Execute abilities while they're in Execute range, very few people are going to survive that. And for defense, just remember that mobility is your primary way of staying alive, so always keep active, stay on the move. If you stop, you're dead, basically. Keep your buffs active, especially Hurricane and Critical Surge. Make sure those are active at all times. Try to cast Vigor preemptively when you're expecting to take a lot of damage rather than trying to heal up after taking a lot of damage. If you need to heal up fast, cast Vigor and then do a couple of Dark Deals, and that'll fill your health bar up pretty quickly. Of course, use the Barrier Ultimate in emergencies. And for stealth enemies, you can use Camo Hunter to pull them out of stealth, or you can use Streak. And that brings us to the end of my Stamina Hybrid Sorcerer PvP build. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to share, feel free to leave a comment or email me at ketsparrowhawk@gmail.com. Until next time, good luck out there.